Hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Ironclaw. We're gonna have to do a little bit of a recap since last week we weren't here, and we also have a new player. So we did a recap before the stream, but we will one for the audience so that it's on the VOD and as well as live. So a lot of things have come up to a head in the last episode, in the last moments of the last episode. As the investigations of the King's Chosen have uncovered conspiracy after conspiracy and possibility of treason and rumors of horrible acts, both social and faux pas and the like, and the grand tournament, a grand melee was fought, in which Harmon won handily. The episode ended with the death of the High King, literally as he clutched his chest as he heard the news of his middle son dying because of the wounds inflicted by a apparently tragic accident in the on the field of the tourney. But before we do that, there's an image I want to set up for you that happened simultaneously to all these events, somewhere in the southern island, nearby perhaps, but not too nearby. As the clouds fill the sky and thunder rips the air and massive rain comes down, there is yet another of the familiar stone circles. But between the stones, between the menhir, are cloaked figures. In 5 of the spaces, the 6th space, there is a figure, sometimes illuminated by the lightning, and we do not know exactly who he is or who they are, male, female. But we do get a glimpse of their tattered tabard, which is clearly one of the King's Chosen. Also, in the middle seems to be a pool of some sort. But one would expect to be clear water, in fact, seems to be filled with sort of ooze and muck. And as the thunder rips the above the skies, this ooze starts to sort of take form and sort of spill over as the chanting that can barely be hidden between the howling wind and pouring rain. It's almost raining sideways. It's how hard the wind is blowing. And this ooze sort of goes over the lip of the pool and goes and travels across the grass into this chained figure who seems to be manacled against 2 of the stones, unconscious perhaps. And as it slits, it literally burns the ground. The grass gets consumed, it withers and dies. Slowly but surely, this ooze starts traveling up the feet of this person. And as it does, its fur, its skin, and even its bones start to dissolve. Camera focus on the fact that this individual, as it's trying to scream, but cannot be heard over the cacophony of the storm, has some kind of stone wrapped around his neck. And as these ooze, sort of this dirty, muddy, greenish goo starts consuming the figure, it also starts taking its form, almost substituting it, cell by cell, patch by patch, and completely consumes him, and then takes its form and sort of draws away, and the stench of both ozone and acid burns as the old matter that was this person just gets ripped away and is left behind what apparently seems to be exactly the same person, except for the stone, who seems to glow ever so slightly. Could be a trick of the light. And then the slime retreats. The members of this conclave free their prisoner, who falls to the ground, picks themselves up, and starts to simply walk away. Among their number seems to be a gnarled wolf with a patch of bare skin around his mouth and a broken tooth. Smiles as this new thing has been birthed, walks into its destiny. And we move forward again to the tent, the royal tent of the High King, as everybody's standing, and his now eldest son moves to, prevent the crown to fall from his head. At that very moment, the flap of the tent is thrown open, and the youngest son comes in and shouts, "Halt!" Beside him is the admiral, and there's a group of other people there as well. There's a group of the king's chosen, which includes Duncan. Duncan, could you introduce yourself? You come in. You're being asked to help in the investigation of both the death of the Middle King and also
Sure.
help with the situation here.
Why, certainly. I would love to introduce myself. Hello, I am Duncan. You can see like this somewhat like 6 foot tall Black Panther wearing very
Big boy.
simple. I don't know if you can hear me. Very simple leather vestments at the moment. Not a lot of color to it, just like brown and blue at the moment. He has amber colored eyes, and you see a short bow, a long bow across his back. And yeah, he has like a pretty stern sort of face on going right here because he doesn't know who any of you guys are.
Mhm.
And
You go ahead, yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
And what is your motivation and your
well, I'm a procurer of artifacts by trade, which is just a fancy way of saying I steal things. And more or less, my motto is charity begins at home. And my current goal at the moment is to swipe something valuable. But since I've been tasked for this job, this is a valuable. This is a job where if things do go missing here or there, I'm sure nobody will notice as long as we get the main task of the job done. So why not volunteer for it at the moment?
As you look around, there's the two groups, well, three groups of people. There is the group that you came with includes the admiral of the naval squadron, who is a lion, and also a youngest of the kings. As we maybe explain, the Isles are ruled by three distinct kings, which are juniors to the High King, and it is the High King that has just died, and he posed his successor as the eldest.
Yes.
And so it is the eldest who now seems to be caught in the moment of trying to assist his father as his life has left him, and wants to basically make sure that the crown doesn't fall unceremoniously to the ground. But it looks from your perspective as if you were reaching for the crown. The youngest son also has he has stake on the throne as well. At least he can claim to anyway. And but this is part of investigation because his middle brother has died. His middle brother, of course, now is dead. That's what precipitated the sort of final loss of life. And the problem now with the middle brother is that his heir is a 9-year-old. So you have two vacant thrones and two siblings, the eldest and now the youngest, always youngest, sort of in this position. We go around the group, and there are many people. You know about the king chosen, which up to this moment were faithful servants of, and basically the main both military and police arm of the High King have been for centuries. And we go around the table, so to speak, around the room, and start with the person you know mostly by reputation. One Gregory. Who is an up-and-coming leader, magister. So, Gregory, could you tell us our motto and
yeah, let's do the introduction. I'm playing Gregory Varkin III, a lion elementalist with a noble background. His motto is, I am fit to be the king. His goals today are to clear or condemn the admiral and to decipher this weird book of Spencer's and any extra goal that might involve this scenario and all this assassination. I think that kind of wrapped together, didn't it?
Yes, very much.
He is an up-and-coming magistrate. He is known to have a vain personality, and he's already been involved in several high-profile incidents.
What's your species?
A lion.
Next, we have Spencer. Let's go with you.
Yes, my name is Arklord. I play Spencer McDougall, the raccoon cognoscenti who dabbles in thaumaturgy. His motto is "The best secrets are those no one knows you to keep." And his personality is calculated, and his goals are to clear or condemn the admiral and to translate the symbols in the travelogue and exploration of the Isles.
We also have Prester Vesper, our holy man of the group.
Please, I'm hardly ordained. I am Presbyter Vesper, the almoner and servant to our Lord here. And my motto is keep your faith alight, but keep your powder dry, because I'm rather worldly when it comes to priests. And of course, I'm an almoner raccoon. And yep, like everyone else here, my goal is to status quo all the way. We still have that book to translate, arrest that guy, and of course, we already rooted for Gregory. You already won basically.
Yeah.
Congratulations! That was very smart of you to appoint the world's greatest warrior to be your champion.
If only other people could have thought to have done it first.
If only other people recognized your genius.
And talking about the world's greatest warrior, Harmon.
I am Harmon Tordero, donkey, air quotes, mule, soldier. Personality is stoic. My motto is, you need to know that you are in for the fight of your life. I have the goals of clear or condemn the admiral and decipher the weird book of Spencer's.
And so there are other people there, including the kings and the admiral. But Gregory, now that you are there, because there's a moment of tension, and when he called out halt, even some people you seem are reaching for the weapons. Considering that you have Harmon by your side, if there's any fighting, you'll be probably safe, but there's probably a good time there's going to be a bloodbath. This is your moment.
Right.
What do you
do? And just redesignate the scenario here. We were in the middle of an interrogation, and they just barged into the interrogation and said halt.
You were called to the main tent because you were going to be introduced to the king. The king was going to say, "Okay,
so we have moved."
And then the news of the death of the middle child, the king of the Southern Isles, which is where you are right now, came in, and that caused the heart of the High King to finally fail, and gave way. So
yeah. So now we're in the big tent, and basically the Elder King has been nursing the now dead Grand King, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's what's been barged in on. Okay, so we've literally just got here. They get in here behind us. So I guess I will turn around and greet them with open arms. Like, oh, well, good to see that you finally arrived, as well as the Admiral. I believe we've had plenty of questions we need to ask him. So good of you to... what's the right word I need to go for? I'm sorry, I completely lost my tongue. Let's see if I can put that back in the character. So good of you to cooperate with the investigation.
And the younger kid's like, investigation? My father is dead, and you're talking about investigations? Hold on, get out of the way, lackey.
And your brother as well. I know that didn't escape your gaze.
And he sort of moves forward, and the older brother sort of gets stepped in as he puts his hand on his sword, right? Which is sort of an old, ancient, half and a half, knightly blade. And he's like, The Magister has spoken. This night we have lost so much. We must clear the air before we can continue. And the younger brother says, oh, so we can clear the air so you can grab the crown and become yourself king? Huh? Perfect timing, isn't it? And you can see like people are sort of approaching each other. Hands are going to weapons, and it's very tense, right? And clearly, your attempts to placate the younger brother clearly backfire. You have the older king on your side, so you have these people are outnumbered, but that doesn't matter once the blades come out and who knows what else, right? There could be blood in the water real soon, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I get my name straight here too. The younger one is Edward or Edgard.
It's on the list, so let's get it.
Yeah,
The elder
notables. There we
is
go.
Edgard, and the young one is Edward. And you, the one that perished recently, is Godwin.
Yeah.
You're in the Isle of Lessex.
Right. So Edward is basically going for his blade right now.
Yeah, there and sort of there's a thing like anything can happen. A penny drops and there's going to be a massacre. Which mostly
Right.
means Harmon probably going to massacre a bunch of people, but that's probably
Yeah, he's just gonna swing and everyone around him dies.
Yeah.
But I will attempt to interject one more time and make an emotional appeal and go, please, my good king.
Let me ask
Don't
you a
make-
question. Sorry,
Yeah.
interrupting. Are you going to make an appeal to logic, or are you going to try to impose your will here?
To emotion, but I am also trying to I guess impose a little bit.
Okay, so then I think you have to make a will roll.
Yeah. So the text of what I'm gonna say is please do not make this day any darker than it already is. If we can at least bring a little bit of light first. So let's see. So yeah, we're looking at a will roll, and since I'm only making an appeal and not making an offer, I suppose we're going to presence, of course.
Mhm.
All right, so we're looking pretty good here. We got our best stuff already, 2d8 plus 1d10, and I believe that's all I got. I don't think I have any extra dice I can flex on this necessarily. I am a noble dealing with nobles and kings. I suppose that technically does count.
Yeah. And also, your position of authority. You have your legal authority.
Yeah, I can technically say something and maybe have my voice heard on this whole situation too, which definitely comes in handy.
Mhm.
I guess etiquette is out the window because the party's already over.
Yeah, and also the fact that you're the union member here, right? So etiquette will be trying to finesse things, but it's
Yeah,
too tense.
this is more like I have to say no. That's not how the rules go. So here's my shot, and that is a good 4 successes to try to calm it down.
Okay, and it's going to be in a post roll, depending what it is, tell you how much you succeeded. You're probably going to succeed anyway, but you have succeeded
Yeah.
already. But it's a matter of how much you do it.
Of course. He's got some
yeah.
good dice there, but hey, I still outclassed him. That's still 2
Yeah.
successes on top of him.
Yeah. So the admiral sort of steps in the middle and says,
Mhm.
"Perhaps it's too hasty to talk about investigations yet. The nerves are raw right now. Perhaps if we can retire to our proper places, we can discuss this matter further." And someone else steps in, Balgruf, and says, and the old druid who worked for the Middle King is like,
Yes.
"It is my understanding, masters and lords, the decision has already been made when it comes to the crown. It is the elders who should have this. It is a tradition that we follow. And thus, it will be so. Any other considerations will be secondary. We of the circles already have approved this as well. The matter of merely ceremony. For the peace of the land and the strictures of the goddess to be followed, we must do this immediately. But for now, we must put to rest the kingly manes so that their children may continue their work in the land of the living." And you see that when while he was talking, the youngest son, he's just he's disgusted. He's not even hiding. It's just like, and even it's snarling, like almost rolling. You almost see like he's almost going to sort of a starting of an I forgot the name. It's even sort of his more animal nature, his more primal nature is coming out. He finds the very presence of this man and even talking to him to be like somebody like dirt has just come up and started trying to have a conversation with him, right? Like literal dirt, right? He's just he's not hiding it at all. But the admiral puts a hand on his shoulder and says, "Very well. We should consider this in the morn." And he turns around and leaves with his entourage and his guard and all that. And then we realize that not only everybody's like literally everybody of the King's Chosen has been there, except perhaps for Duncan, sort of did a semicircle, not so much protecting the what will be technically now is the new High King, but sort of protecting the body of the old king.
Right.
Which sort of gives you to that maybe yes, decision has been made. The council apparently approved it, the Privy Council, but it's not official yet. So they are still loyal to the one High King, which is dead. So that still is hanging in. No matter what Balgrove said, it feels you can feel that this is still hanging in the air.
Yeah.
And so they retire. And Balgrove sort of turns to the assembled, like, "My lords and masters, I must confer with my brethren, and send messages where they need to be sent. Perhaps the storm will break by morn. Until then." And he sort of bows, especially bows to Prester Vesper as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And takes his leave. The bishop is there. She's there, and sort of shakes her head and goes, "Well, I guess we'll have to postpone or move forward with certain things. Vesper, would you care to join me in my tent?"
Oh, please. Once again, I wouldn't want to diminish your status by being seen with such a layperson as myself.
We're about to fix that.
Right away.
And she sort of
I'll give Vesper a big pat on the back.
8 steps behind.
Yes. So basically, she knows she's going to start even with the rain and everything else, she's going to start the process, right? Very much in her word is just enough to basically get you ordained. Think about it. She could just say, "Okay, you're ordained," and that's it. But there's protocol and
a ceremony.
And also the ceremony. We move to the tent. Sort of serves to because people start filing into her tent as well, which is rather large, and even outside, even though it's raining, because people are looking for spiritual guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And so this impromptu mass has attracted people who are confused and seeking prayer. So your ceremony becomes doubly important because not only simply your ordination, but also impromptu ordination, you have now become the center of this attention of all these people. And the way she speaks about you, the few words that she says, is all about hope and promise. And people seem to be looking at you like, oh, yes, they seem to get the message that you are the hope and promise, even though you haven't done anything other than just stand there and be anointed with the holy oils and whatnot.
Yeah.
She's really put you on this. She put you really on the spot, like, oh, a freshly ordained member of the church. Ta-da!
Yeah.
You have 20 sermons ready, right?
Yeah. So at the end, you're supposed to present your own sermon. So what do you say to the assembled crowd, both the holy and the laymen who are kneeling and praying, and even as the rain is falling, and it's tempered a little bit, but not too much.
Well, like internally, I'm just thinking, wow. So you just grab some random guy off the street, or random almoner off the street, and promote them to a high position, and then make all these lofty promises. I'm feeling less like a raccoon and more like a goat. But right, so that doesn't escape Vesper, who is, his motto is that he's very worldly about these things. But that doesn't also change the fact that this is an opportunity, and the people do need hope. So I will assemble and say, I must humbly apologize to the assembled people here for this as an honor that's been bestowed upon me, and a great responsibility that would be an undertaking for anyone in this position, much less myself, a man who started from humble beginnings and wanted to reach out to the needy in this world in any way that he could do with only his two hands. To have such an office invested in me, to work not only to give hope to the masses here, but also to work as part of a greater magisterium, a mechanism that works only to alleviate the suffering and restore order where there was once chaos, to bring hope where there was once fear, and to bring health where there was once sickness. I will endeavor to be a forceful administrator in this position, and I would hope that when I reach out with our thoughts and prayers to all in this world who both can offer the help and who would receive it. Amen.
And everybody has an amen, sort of this chorus. And once it's done, everybody breaks to it's like, forgive me. Now I must ask you to take your leave. For I'm very tired, and I must make arrangements to deal with the child king, I suppose, or his mother will be.
Well, of course.
The
Just let me know, where I need to move all my belongings when the sinecure gets set up.
Yeah.
Man, buses haven't even been invented yet. You've been thrown under one.
What, sinecures? They've been invented.
No buses.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Coaches, but still.
It's like the real church anyway.
But we're working on simony.
And so that's that. Sorry. Someone.
So was this my? I must ask. Was this my ordainment? Have I been ordained?
Yes.
With the game host permission, I would like to spend 10 experience points and buy the gift of ordainment.
They do so.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right, now time. This gives me access to the Forbidden Library. I can read the forbidden books now.
Meanwhile, Spencer has been left in a lurch. Even though you're not actively trying to read people's minds, your training still makes you sensitive to the roil of emotions around you. And the people literally are screaming in their thought patterns around you, right? Fear, apprehension, anger, despair. So it literally, more than a personal feeling that you project on others, and most people do, you can feel it in the air that they're projecting onto you. How do you react to the situation at hand now that you're confronted with all this?
Well, in our measurement, he has 1.75 pounds of weed. He's going to make good use of it and try to go to sleep.
That's a good one.
It's still the middle of the day, isn't it?
No, it's at night. It's at night.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's no day for him, but he's going to sleep through that.
Yeah, we really looked. I couldn't. If anyone knows anything about medieval and Renaissance expressions for marijuana, let me know, because I couldn't find any.
I don't think there were any, as far as at least I know in my history knowledge. So
there's references in Shakespeare, but they literally just call it weed.
Yeah, finding the European phrases might be difficult if there's alternatives. I know there's definitely Indian phrases for it.
Right. So it is. I guess you noticed it is in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And back to Duncan, because I know Harmon, unless I'm presupposing you're sticking close to
Gregory.
To Gregory. To your
Yes.
And I don't know if you regret the fact that you couldn't have just wallop a couple of people there for good measure, but I'll leave that entirely up to you. So Duncan, as people come, people go, you're left in the middle, and someone from one of the kitchens, one of your friends, maybe someone you could, says, "Well, the investigation will have to continue in the morning."
Who says it has to continue? Who says it has to continue in the morning?
Well, unless you are willing to break into the royal tents.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks you like, are you willing to break into the royal tents?
That depends on what we're looking for, but I could take a look if you like.
Yes. If you're going to do whatever it is that you're going to do, I would suggest you coordinate with, and he points in the general direction of Gregory, our magistrate. That way, whatever is done has the veneer of legality. Better to be done under the orders of someone than being personal initiative, especially when everybody's so cagey.
Is he that gouty looking lion that's pretty full of himself?
Yeah, the one in the corner holding his chest, like trying to contain his breathing after all that. It's like, ooh, almost told off High King. Ooh.
Yeah, and your friend is a rodent. He's like, yeah.
Well, I've dealt with worse.
He's a noble, yeah. So he has a fair reputation, I hear. Captain in the high seas, captured a ship. I suspect most of it is manservants doing, but you know how nobles are. They just take credit for everything.
To be fair to him, at least he looks a little worldly.
No.
Yeah, he is wearing highly expensive armor here, and doesn't have weapons though.
Plus, he tried to tell off the High King at one point, or
one of the kings.
One of the kings.
Yeah. I mean, that takes balls as far as I'm concerned. So he's already at least slightly better than most nobles.
But that's also how you get your balls cut off. And I like to keep mine, thank you very much. I mean, if I have to fight in the front lines, so be it. But you know me, I prefer a wench and some drink to, decapitation of the lower head, if you know what I mean.
This is why I like you so much, whatever your name is.
Let's go on. You can give him a name. He's a friend of yours. You can give him whatever name you want.
This is why I like you so much, Michael.
Right. So, if you need me, I'll be with the rest of the guard. In the rain, guarding. Because that's what we do. Wet smelly rat in the rain.
I think I will... Oh, well, I think I'm going to go schmooze for a little while. Talk to you later.
All right, then. He basically goes out and literally, you can see his dark fur just go like, down after the rain just coming. It's like,
I'm sure as the rain pours down on me a little bit too, as I walk between tents to check out Mr. Gregory here, or Sir Gregory, I should say. Excuse me.
Yeah, and
I'm sure I'm getting all
off to the side at this point, just kind of go, hello there. I don't believe we've been directly introduced yet. I'm Sir Gregory Varkin III. Pleasure to meet you.
Your reputation precedes you, from what I understand, sir.
So I keep hearing more and more these days.
It's not of every day that we meet somebody that was able to take on a single galleon with his bare hands.
Not many who would jump ship to do such combat. But, what of yourself? What's your name?
You may call me Duncan, sir, and I do like a little curtsy bow just to showcase respect and all that stuff.
Of course.
And I am here to offer my services to you.
I see. You came in with the young King Edward there. Are you part of his crew?
Yes, I was a member that was hired for his own purposes, protection as well as
see.
Let's call it procurement.
And I have to ask, are you doing this at the request of King Edward?
Let me interject. You're a member of the King's Guard as well. All you are, and so you may be working on for whatever reason, but basically your bosses are the King's Guard. They may have sent you to work with this young king, and you may have get to know him, whatever, because you have some latitude to maneuver, right? Legal latitude. But ultimately, literally the camera goes, this was your boss, and they're carrying the body of your former boss out, to give him proper burial, right? So they're like, yeah, that was your boss, and he wasn't the younger king. Now, the younger king wants to be your new boss. He really wants to be, and you could choose to work for him. That'll leave that entirely up to you, where your loyalties would ultimately lie as your character. You can make that public or private. That's entirely up to you. But as of the situation right now, again, I guess because you have been told off to work with this magister, the magisters are basically the traveling judges of the Isles. Keep everybody on their toes, especially the nobles.
Sure.
So technically, now you're working for him. But whatever you want done with the other king, maybe you were investigating, maybe you were servicing, maybe you were just keeping an eye on him, pretending to be his friend. Whatever you think is appropriate for your character, go ahead. And doesn't have to be too complicated. Just sort of put a little flavoring. That should be more than enough.
So basically, we were always working on the same side anyway. It's just different people we're under.
Right. You're basically assigned to this island and cozied up, which makes sense.
Yeah. So, just I guess recon that a little bit. But it's more so I would say. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was just about to rephrase. Like, so he asked you to assist in this. Is that his request?
In a matter of speaking, we are already technically allied together. I just figured with somebody with your means and reputation, it might be better to help you out in your endeavors.
Well, I'm sure you've already seen his mood tonight, and if it makes him at least the slightest bit happier, I think I am obliged to comply. I will add you to our investigation for now, and we will endeavor to solve this mystery before it gets out of hand and before more fires start.
That is very wise of you to do so, sir.
But it's also getting really late. It's been a long day up in those stands. They only give you one pillow, did you know? Well, I suppose they didn't give you one, but my back is sore, and this is all honestly quite giving me a headache. We have people to talk to tomorrow, and our main suspect, the Admiral, is, of course, with the young king. And
well, I actually had a proposal for you.
Well, I'm here and listening.
Well, I mentioned before that my skills are mostly in procurement.
Mm-hmm. I guess we had another such innocent soul such as yourself before, I believe.
I would probably know him or her from hide or hair. But I can say for sure that I could probably help you with your investigation tonight, if you allow me.
Well, what's your proposal?
You're looking for information on this admiral, you said?
Well, we've done plenty on that. I suppose I should explain the situation as it is right now. Had you seen the jousting, a mysterious knight was out on the field versus the admiral, and the admiral, on the second go about, knocked him out immediately. This came as what seemed to be a surprise to the admiral, and of course, Godwin is now dead. On our investigation so far, we've uncovered that there may have been a bit of magical manipulation of the minds of the children who were, or I should say young squires, I should give them more respect, who were managing the lances, and it is perhaps someone who gave over a lance specifically to this end, as its core was tampered with. So rather than breaking, it shunted upwards.
That's very interesting. How many people know of this possible plot?
So far, you, me, and my comrades.
I think it's best that we keep it that way.
As I would hope so. As a fellow magistrate, I would hope that you would keep your mouth sealed on anything active.
I'm as honest as the day is long, sir.
So that is it so far. My suspicion isn't on the Admiral himself, though I was investigating him for other reasons I shall disclose.
So who do you wish to pin suspicions on, and is there anybody specifically you wish me to check on?
It's hard to say yet. That is the problem. We need more leads on this. We have our one. And I intend to follow it once Spencer is ready again. I think he's resting himself off from the night's interrogation.
Who is Spencer?
And of course, we will need to talk with the Admiral later, and that might be a complicated political position.
Would you like me to check the Admiral's quarters for any evidence against him?
I would like to not cause an incident. If you could simply overhear conversation and not be seen, that would be fantastic. But I would like to avoid any sort of repercussions or fanning of flames right now, if possible. Who knows what he might do next?
I am pretty good at not being seen, if it helps any.
Well, I trust you to understand your own skills. This is the current situation. I intend to continue tomorrow with plenty of talk, and anything that you can uncover before then that might point to certain individuals or clear others would probably be very helpful.
I do a bow and I say thank you for giving me this opportunity, sir.
Indeed. You are invited to my tent tomorrow morning, where I intend to continue briefing my men.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes. And you're dismissed, Duncan. I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll just stretch and let out a giant lion yawn. And the Elder King has already departed for now, I believe, right?
Yeah,
After that whole incident.
He's sticking with the body of his deceased father. They basically taken him to a place where they're setting up. You can even almost hear me building the plinth.
Right. So he's already left. I don't have to say goodbye to him, and I imagine he's going through quite some turmoil himself right now.
Yeah, and his wife is there, etc. The ladies and all that. But the one lady you don't see here is Victoria. You don't know where she is at the moment.
She might be busy, and I'm interested to hear from her a little later, I think. So I'll go ahead and depart from the scene. I'll probably return to my tent. Spencer's already there smoking it up. I'll share a little bit and head to bed, I suppose.
So okay, we split the party. Most of the people are going to Gregory's tent. Vesper, are you going to also rejoin the party, or are you going to do something else in the evening? It's very rainy. It's muddy outside. There's not much you can actually do. But if you're going to do anything, this might be it. At least tonight.
Why would I want to go to a party?
No party. There's no party. It's just I'm saying there's a lot of rain and
the party was canceled, basically.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So no, I want to go. I want to go to I'm ordained. I can go into the scriptorium now. That's where I want to be right now.
Except
but it's too far away, I suppose.
Yeah, it's somewhere else. You're in the city, so yeah.
But I suppose there's nothing to do but go to. I mean, I'm sure that with a gathering this large, they must have set up a makeshift chapel or revival tent somewhere.
Well, mostly they converted the tent that was being used by the bishop into a makeshift sort of not cathedral, but church or holy place.
Okay,
that's where everything happened, so you can stay there, I suppose.
Well, I would go there and offer charity to people. I mean,
there's plenty there. Mostly what people want are reassuring words, right? And most of the people that are coming in are workers who, dealing with the things.
It's the Middle Ages. People are sick.
Yeah, and you have essentially camp followers, people, attending to them, so they may bring a child or something like that, right? But what you really feel that the pain here, it's the uncertainty. Word has spread of the two deaths in this day, like wildfire. And even with your words earlier, you still feel like, it's the fear and apprehension is palpable, right? And the rain doesn't help at all, right? Considering what's happened, the last year as well, which was terrible rain that flooded many a field. So
I don't know. Anybody who's got shore as their native habitat's actually happy that it's raining.
Yeah, true, but that's not everybody. That's for sure. So there's that. So you basically tending to them, and physically and emotionally, I suppose.
People, you should be like the lobster. No, wait, that's a terrible idea.
Be a crustacean. Be as crusty as a crustacean. Yeah. Duncan, the fact that it's dark, overcast, and still lightning and thunder gives you. Whatever you're going to do, you have a D10 to your stealth roll.
Oh, that's good.
But also, you know that where the admiral area, basically all the guards of every faction are out in force as well.
I figured as much.
So trying to entering through or penetrate an actual tent might be difficult, but getting close to one or in and around or look between spaces might be, you do have that bonus. So it's not a matter of you can barge in unless you try to bluff your way in. But if you want to maneuver, you do have quite a bit of space. Think of it. There's a lot of guards, but their cones of vision are being reduced, so they're they're moving around. You're like, okay, I can.
Oh, it's just like Thief.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I guess my first question then is: it possible to maybe observe the movements of the guards for a little bit and like try and get their patterns going?
Yeah, you're a panther. You're primarily nocturnal, so yeah, you can see at night, I suppose. So there's no problem whatsoever.
Yes, I do have night vision, and if you want, I could also make a skill roll of observation and mind or something.
They're being pretty obvious, right? They're not.
Oh, okay.
They're there to sort of make a show of force, right? Don't mess with our charges, right? Don't everybody's on high alert. Nobody wants anything else to happen, so they're not hiding. They're not, nobody's there to doze off. Even you see like a guard going like this, and somebody sort of whacks him in the back. It's like, and they clearly are most of them who are not aquatic creatures, or they're miserable because they're under this rain.
Yes,
hey, orders are orders. So it's easy to track their movements. I think most of them anyway.
All right. Well, I'm going to then stealth close to, I guess, where the Admiral's tent or the Admiral's area would be then. I'm not going in it just yet. I just want to get to a vantage point where I could wait for my opportunity to try and sneak in. And I guess that would be a stealth roll of some kind?
Yes, it is. It would be a stealth roll.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Stealth roll with speed?
Yes.
And that D10. Hopefully I typed this correctly in the roll 20. No, I did not. Okay, I'm stupid. It's double bracket, right?
Yes.
All right, that's where I screwed up. All right, so it's the 4 dice. Did it go this time?
Let's see the money. Got some good dice on it too.
It didn't even show up for me, so I'm going to take your word for it.
Oh, nope, sure didn't.
/R and whatever dice you're gonna roll.
Yeah, it's a D6, two D8s, and the D10 that you gave me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there it goes. All right, I got
three.
three.
Yeah,
you got the 3 successes. Yeah, you skulk around. You find it almost at times laughably easy to move around. Like a guard looks in your general direction, but it sort of moves away. So it's like whatever, You like.
Also, is if I'm tailor-made for stealth because I have a black belt.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And you reach sort of the outside of the tent, and you hear a muffled but because it's thick cloth, right, and the sound outside makes it hard to hear. But you hear sort of intermittent discussion. It's like you hear a male voice, a lion voice, saying, "What the thunder are you doing here?" And you hear a female voice saying, "We have to resolve this, cousin." It's like, I told you, you worthless thunderclap. Thunderclap happens again. I'm not interested in that at all. It's like, and she says, "I have a name. My name is Thunder." Thunder. Every so often, thunder and lightning crash into the. But you hear this very heated discussion, and what you get out of it basically is the female speaker, who you can of course not see because you can't see the canvas, is pressing the male speaker who sounds familiar, could be the admiral, but he sounds sounds deeper because of the interference, but also sounds far more angry than you usually see him.
Okay.
I don't see him, but hear him. Right, you usually hear him and see him as very, very confident, very sort of lighthearted. This is borderline, murderous rage here.
He'd be pissed.
And he eventually says, "Guards, take her away." And you see you hear the steps of guards going around and going to the tent, and you hear like a short scream and "Let me go! Let go of me, you impudent bastards!" And they basically sort of push her out and drag some. You can actually hear them because you're on the other side of the tent, so you don't see them. You hear the splashing on the mud and the dirt as they walk away.
Interesting.
And then you don't hear anything else. In fact, you hear like basically you see that whatever lights were on, maybe a candle or a lamp, goes off. You see the reflection in the bottom. So they took to put out the lights maybe to go to sleep or something. But that's what you catch, right?
So just for like orientation's sake, I'm like behind the tent.
Yeah.
Okay. This is going to sound stupid because I don't know how tents work, I guess, but is it possible to like lift the tent up a little bit so I can sneak inside after the lights go out after like a half hour of that?
It'll be difficult because this is a typical medieval sort of high, where they're very kind of somewhat conical. Have you seen Robin Hood, the
Men in Tights?
Not so much also Men in Tights, but also the animated Disney version when they do the tournament and they have all these high tents. It's kind of like that.
It's like a circus tent.
Yeah, it's kind of easier to almost cut your way through, right? But of course,
cutting might actually be an interesting choice, but that will leave evidence.
Yeah, exactly. So getting in will be easy. Getting out, perhaps not so much.
I don't have sewing skills because that's not in the game, so that's not going to happen.
You could try to sort of. The thing is that also the tents are elevated into basically planks of wood to avoid the nobles getting their paws dirty on the muck and dirt. At least when there's. So maybe you could sort of slide in, but it's very difficult.
Just slide into the deep puddles underneath,
or without pulling one of the poles, not poles, but
the stakes open.
The stakes in the ground, right? I mean, they're very well fixed into the ground, so one pulling out might not topple the whole thing, but it will make it even more difficult. That might see a little motion, etc. So that's a route, but it's not easy. And I would say this time around, because you're messing with the tent, you wouldn't have the bonus that you had before. Fair enough.
I have an alternative then, instead of maybe going inside this tent, because the woman was kicked out a little bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
The second alternative then would be to try and find her. Is it possible to start maybe searching for this woman to see who she may have been?
You're going to try to follow them? The guards?
Yes.
There. Yeah, the guards are escorting him. Basically, to describe what this is, basically this is a large field between small villages. Huge. And they basically made ropes, and this is what they call the velvet tournament, because a lot of velvet and silk has been used to sort of create this fake almost enclosure, right? Ropes and the like, and it's a huge area, right? But all this is temporary. All these are tents and lean-tos, and maybe an odd wooden structure, but even that is temporary, right? Lashed logs, that kind of thing. Much easier to do than to actually construct a house. And she's being escorted to essentially the edge of the field, past what looks like a curtain that can be rolled over so people can enter and exit. And the two guards are there with her. You can see, it's hard to see through the rain, even though you have night vision, that they're not really grabbing her, but they're sort of like encouraging her, like giving a little shoves, and she goes like this, and you can hear sometimes like, "Don't touch me," And she seems to have a relatively noble bearing by the way she talks, but the guards apparently don't give a crap. They have their orders. Are you going to follow them and try to intercept them, or are you going to try to wait until she was removed entirely from the turning, from the immediate area?
I think I'm going to follow them until she is removed from the area, and I think I will then maybe try and see where she goes from there. Like if she's like heading home someplace, hiding out, and possibly talk to her if need be for a quick second, just to see if I can garnish some information out of her after that. Because
Yeah. Once you're outside the area, there seems to be like a lone tree, even with all the lightning, and there seems to be a cursor tied to the tree, and the cursor is sort of nervous because of all the lightning and thunder, and she's heading that way, right? So the fact that she has a mount shows that she has some resources. Either she stole it, but that carries a very heavy penalty, so I wouldn't advise it.
I'm not one to judge.
Are you going to intercept her, wait for her to be mounted? What I want to know your approach because it's very important. Are you going to?
Well, my approach was to try and stay unseen and just follow her. So I was going to basically shadow her. But you're saying she's on a mount, so that may not.
She's heading to get to the mount, so you have something.
She's heading to get to the mount.
Yeah, so that's her direction. You can see it in the distance, right? And the sort of lightning, illuminates the area, and it's the mount is very nervous because it's under a tree. It may not be smart enough to know what trees and lightning don't mix, but it's not very confident up there. So,
of course.
And she sort of she hides her skirts, like she's marching over there.
So if that's the case, then so I'm actually gonna probably ditch the stealth for a little bit and just not play act, but kind of just go nearby to her and see if I could address her for a moment and then get a moment of her time. See what kind of mood she's in. Get a good look of her face and her features as well.
As you talk to her, and whatever you're going to say is entirely up to you.
Yes.
She turns around, even with the thunder and the lightning, and she just there's a dagger in her hand. Like, I will not allow you to harass me again.
Harass you again? Excuse you, miss. I just saw you walking in the fields here. I just wished to see if you were okay.
And she kind of looks at you and is like, "Who are you?"
You could call me Duncan. That's the name that my mother gave me. Just happened to be at the fair today. All the craziness going on, people walking around at night like this. It is a little scary.
She has a cloak that covers most of her head, not her entire face. She's a female lion as well.
Female lion, okay.
And lioness, and she kind of dips her dagger a little bit. With your night vision, especially, you can tell that her clothing is not truly noble, right? She doesn't have the latest and greatest, but it is not peasant clothes either. It's more like landed gentry, kind of upper middle class, I suppose. Yes. You can apply this to a Renaissance society.
Somebody that has some means, basically.
Yes, and it doesn't look completely wouldn't look completely out of place in the tourney. But she doesn't sheath the dagger. She sort of lowers it, but she actually, when you see her wielding it, it doesn't look like somebody who just picks up a kitchen knife, and so she knows what she's doing, right?
Yes.
You might end up on the sticky end of this if you're not careful.
I'd rather that not happen.
And she seems to be. And one thing you notice is one of her ears seems to be has a ribbon tied.
A ribbon?
A ribbon. A yellow ribbon. Bright yellow ribbon.
Okay.
And, she says, "So what do you want with me?"
Oh, nothing. I just wish to make sure you're okay. This storm, the fact that there was an accident earlier, and the king is now dead. I mean, so much is going on at once. People are panicking, and as somebody who has always been patrolling these grounds for any ne'er-do-wells, I figured I'd just make sure you're okay.
Well, I thank you for your concern, sir.
Yes, and your name, miss?
Madeline. You can call me Madeline.
Miss Madeline. I apologize. Are you related to the gentry here?
I was visiting, and that's all I'm going to say at this moment.
My apologies if I've pried too much of your time, madam.
but I will make a leave, and I suggest that you would do the same. This rain will be of many more people before this is all done.
Yeah, I presume you do not need any escort, considering you're already armed.